Good morning, Christina.
Good morning, Darcy. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you so much for being with us today. I just want to acknowledge I'm here on Treaty 1, so I am on the eastern shore of Lake Manitoba. We are the homeland of the Red River Valley Métis here, and ancestral lands of Innu, Anishinaabe, Dene, Dakota, and Oji-Cree. And we're right on the shore of the lake. We've got a blizzard going on today. I'm just going to welcome the lake in this morning. So here's our winter wonderland.
Wow. Yeah.
The prairies always get a April blizzard, it seems. It's just the way of winter saying goodbye. So
Yes.
appreciating the being surrounded by snow, and we've got eagle and owls and skunks, and in the summer lots of insects here, coyotes, yeah, lots of creature friends as well. So super happy to be with you this morning.
Me too.
And yeah, just taking a moment to land here and appreciate our time together. Our connection goes back a ways because you were actually in the first certificate cohort of wheat when wheat actually first became an institute in 2014. So that's a really neat link for us that you were kind of coming full circle from training to leadership as an instructor. And we are introducing the Weaving Braids of Belonging program, where we're enhancing diversity, equity, and inclusion through creativity, peace building, and mindfulness practices. So this is a program intended to bring this work into the workplace and to explore those links between expressive arts work and how we show up at work. And so we're here really to have a chance to get to know you better as a person and understand your journey, which you've had such a beautiful journey through your learning as a expressive arts facilitator and therapist, and then also to understand a little bit about your course offering. So let's start with you and who you are and how you got here.
Oh, well, I have to thank Wheat for it all, really, because it was after that first class, Darcy, the first class that we ever had in expressive arts therapy was so opening for me. And it was also so exhausting because I was sharing my heart and soul in a group of people, and it was a really new experience for me. And that night I was so exhausted that I wanted to go to sleep as soon as I got home at 5:30 p.m. But I ended up putting on my music. And that night I just felt like the lightning bolt came down and it struck me on the head, and I was dancing wild dances in my kitchen for 4 hours that night. I was so electrified and so on fire with life and creativity. And I got really addicted to that feeling, and I wanted to feel that feeling every day afterwards. So then I began to pursue dance. And I'm so glad that I did, because I felt like it was just a calling that I was following. And then you introduced me to Tamalpa Institute, which I ended up going to study at and specialize in movement-based expressive arts therapy. And the work has completely transformed my life and continues to shape and transform my life. And as a teacher apprentice in that program, I also see the big changes and shifts that people go through very, very quickly in this process of self-discovery, I like to say. So I'm just so happy and so thankful that I now get to share this work with other people so that they can experience the shifts in their lives, perhaps, is my hope and dream. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, and I'm curious about how your relationship with movement has shifted over the course of your training, because we may have people that come into the program who are passionate about movement, and some people who really maybe feel a disconnection from their bodies and are social justice activists, but not really sure how to make that connection between an embodied feeling and their social justice work in the world and in their workplaces. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. Well, in the work, it's important that we consider the elements of the medicine wheel. For example, the physical aspect of our beings, the emotional aspect, the mental aspect, and the spiritual. And we're always weaving those things together. And for me, when I move, it's very much a spiritual practice. I feel like that's a practice in which I connect to source energy. Now, I do realize that for a lot of people, there is a disconnect from the body. And it's the way we're living in society. We're living in a very fast paced, productive, focused society. And even myself, I need to pay attention to myself and tune into my physical needs throughout the day to make sure that I've eaten, because I'll be working so hard on my work that I'll realize, oh my gosh, it's 2 o'clock and I didn't eat yet. So it's just a continuous practice of attuning to your body and attuning to your needs and answering that call when it comes, being responsive to your own body and caretaking it. And I do believe that we're all on different places of the spectrum with that in terms of our connections to our body and our comfort in moving. I know that from my time being a teacher, what I've noticed in children is that by around age 7 and 8, they become very self-conscious about how they're moving their bodies in space. And so asking a group of 7 or 8-year-olds to dance together, they're shy and they're self-conscious about moving their bodies in space in front of other people and having that be witnessed. So I think that that's a place that a lot of us, feel some familiarity with that feeling. And so it's just getting back to the sense that movement is so natural and it's so integral to life force, because everything in life is moving. If we look at things under the microscope, there'll be little things dancing around there on the lens. So when we can come back into a relationship with movement, then we really come back into relationship with like this flow of life, this energy of life.
Mhm.
And just having some compassion with ourselves wherever we find ourselves on that spectrum of comfort and practice with it.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I get that sense of moving from the inside out, like that the movement is really generated from the internal impulse. And with weaving braids, we do have a strong mindfulness foundation to the program. So, that gentle awareness of self, whether it be through the breath or the body or through the senses. We have several mindfulness courses, one being focused specifically on movement. And then we have your course, which is focused on movement and expressive arts in a more integrated way. So, can you share a little bit about that connection to the self through the arts and how that connects to, say, the concept of diversity and being more attuned to the diverse nature of our society, of our workplaces, of the spaces we inhabit? How does that all come together?
Yeah. Well, I can speak from my experience. So my experience in engaging in expressive arts is that I come into contact with this deep intelligence and wisdom that is not from my intellect. It's not coming from my thinking awareness. It's coming, yes, partly from that. That is part of how I can interpret it. But it's really this experience of self, like you said. And when I mean self, I mean like the divine source energy, something that we're all connected with, in my belief. So once you come into contact with that, and I also need to say that in my spiritual practice of yoga Vedanta, there is a belief that we're one. And when it comes to diversity, I believe that it's the nature of all things, because we are all unique expressions of the one. And there will be no two similar people. We're all very unique individuals with unique perspectives and unique life experiences. And our life experiences really shape and the lens at which we're looking through life. And so when we come together in collective, we need to have a good understanding of that each person is so valuable because of their individual uniqueness. And we can learn from each other. So I love it when I'm in a room with a group of people and there are different perspectives being presented, because that allows me the opportunity to expand my awareness or my understanding of things. And so in terms of diversity, I think it's natural. I think we're all very unique, and I believe that it's something to be celebrated. However, we need some awareness around building tolerance and acceptance, because even within an individual, you're going to find a large spectrum of diversity. We're going to find, the yin and the yang, the light and the dark, the polarities that we even hold as individuals. Even coming into contact with that within ourselves is really the work of the 5-part process that I use in my work. It's to identify, and then it is to confront or encounter that which you are identifying as maybe a challenge or maybe a resource that we're identifying. We want to confront that, then we want to do some movement work to release that. And our goal is growth and change. So just to sum up diversity, is I feel like it's a gift. It's such a gift. I mean, when we look at the human kingdom and the plant kingdom and the animal kingdom, and we think of all the diversity and how lucky we are that we get to experience such a wide range of things here. So I think that attitude is something that does come with some practice.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And on that note, like the spring training is 100 hours in the Weaving Braids of Belonging. And we do see it as a time for people to practice, because we have the weekly mindfulness and mindfulness movement classes. We have the peace building and intersectionality Saturdays. So there is that period, spring training, because it's short and it's intense, but it's focused. And then there's the opportunity to move into the certificate. So either the harmonized or Rivers of Solidarity certificates, which give people a chance over a longer period of time to explore this work. And of course, then the diplomas, where people can become art or expressive arts therapists. So I guess just observing that idea of practice over time. And because spring training is a short period of time, I'm wondering what kinds of takeaways you're envisioning for people, that they can actually create some kind of practice, which then they might drop into another course at another time or another program. But in the short term, they have a foundation to build on for a personal practice. Can you share a little about that?
Yeah. So my course, I'm calling it Moving with Change, Cultivating Self-Awareness in Social Justice Work. So it really is a self-awareness practice, which goes along very well with all the mindfulness resources that we'd be offering. So it is really a practice of looking at the self in terms of being aware of our own life experience, the lens that we're looking through the world with, how our stories influence how we relate with others, and also accepting that we have some biases, and not to put any shame around biases. It's just that, for example, I've grown up in Canada, so I have some Canadian biases. I'm a woman, so I may have some female biases. And there's nothing to be ashamed of that. It's just to be aware of it and to know that in my relations with others, that is going to come into play. So I need to be highly aware of my communication. Practices that you'll be able to take away after this course is you'll be able to have your own daily movement practice. So I run people through a process called the psychokinetic imagery process, which is a process of about 20 to 30 minutes of movement, 20 to 30 minutes of drawing that is inspired by what's most alive after the movement, continuing the exploration in a drawing. And then after the drawing period, have some reflective writing time, which could be creative writing time and a poetic dialogue with the art that you've just created. So if people are feeling inclined and very excited about this, they could take that hour practice into their lives and just repeat that daily. And there will be a lot of information generated. Yeah.
Yes. Well, I link that back to your beginning with this, where you were literally on fire with the work, and so inspiring and so motivating for you. I'm also just thinking around just sense of safety, and for some folks for whom this might feel a little bit scary, or they're kind of wondering, is this something I really want to embark on? Maybe I don't see myself as an artist, don't see myself as a dancer, but really have a commitment to social justice work, and have a sense, or maybe like some kind of yearning for things to be different at work. How is the space held for this kind of work to happen in a way that very diverse people and energies can show up and still have a really cool and positive experience together?
Yeah. Well, my teacher and mentor in this work was Anna Halprin, and she's just a legend. She was the first person who really took dance from the stage and brought it into community. And what she would say is that if you have a heartbeat, you are dancing because your heart is moving with a beat of life. And so really anyone could practice this. It's not required that you have any experience or talent in dance. And so often what we do is we look at our everyday movement, because our everyday movement and our body language is about 80% of our communication. So we need to look at our posture and the way we hold ourselves in space and what that communicates to other people when we're around them. So we look at our posture, and we also look at gesture. So I'm keeping my hands down, but I talk a lot with my hands. I give a lot of hand gestures. And if you just begin to notice other people, you're going to notice their gesture, and you're going to maybe perhaps be curious or have a story already formed about what that is communicating. And then we also look at our movement. And you can tell a lot about a person's maybe emotional state of mind, mental state of mind, by how they're moving their bodies in space. Is there a lot of rigidity in their movement? Is their body more closed with arms crossed? Or is their body expansive and open? And is there a flow to their movement? So there's a lot to notice when we're moving ourselves through space. And there's also a lot to notice and be aware of when we're with other people. And I would start off very gently with walking. So the first movement exploration that we do is walking your space and engaging your senses, and notice what you're noticing. And then we move into natural intuitive movement, and the body is the leader. So we have to shut down our mind. We have to shut down our ego a little bit. We have to take risks. And it does feel very risky for a lot of people. It's going back to that 7-year-old that doesn't want to dance in front of everybody, because we're self-conscious about how we look. But it is that we come together with like a shared focus and a shared goal, which I believe in this program, it's about connecting and relating and feeling a relation to everyone that we're around. And so it comes back again to this self-compassion or this compassion for others in this process of moving.
That self-compassion and relationship and bringing that noticing into the workplace. I always think about bodies at work as kind of moving in a cylinder. Like there's only so much space you can take up, and really in society in general. And so I love this process for just allowing us to come out of our movement cylinder and how liberating that can feel,
Mhm.
because we of the sort of the conditions of our workspaces, and that even small gestures can expand, as you said, like with hand gestures, small gestures can expand our connection to our own creativity and our own expressiveness, our own expansiveness. So
Yeah.
I really see how this space can be a fun exploratory space for people to kind of get out of their cylinders and feel supported to do that in a safe way.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. I was going to make a connection to Anna Halprin. I also had the opportunity to do just a short training with Anna Halprin at Tamalpa Institute on the hillside of Mount Tamalpais in that little neighborhood. And they have that beautiful outdoor studio with a dancing deck right embedded into the hillside. And I actually took a photo of Anna Halprin. And when the photo was developed, there was a blue aura all the way around Anna Halprin. And it was actually extraordinary. Like but it was very visible. And I really agree with you that she was such a profound change maker. And in the way that she brought movement, to be more personalized from dance. She was a professional dancer, made it more personalized, brought it into community, and then into social action. And her planetary dance experience came out of an experience of trauma that then evolved to be like a global movement in peace building. So I think this work has such potential to ignite the imaginations of the people that engage in it, regardless of where they're coming from, which workplace, who they are, how they show up in the world. There's so much potential.
Yes.
So, any last bits that you'd like to add before we close our time together?
Yes. Well, I would just want to add to what you're saying there because, yes, it does ignite the imagination and it also inspires us. We will just receive so much inspiration from this intelligence that we will be engaging with when we're engaged in the arts. I just even can't even put it into words for you to explain that. It's like you have to do it and you have to experience that for yourself and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And it will be the feeling of inspiration. You will just be so inspired to take this forward out into your life and into the world because it feels good.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. And even though this program is on Zoom, which is an accessibility feature that we can offer it to, a broad audience by having the program on Zoom, I think that capacity for inspiring, whether it's through the mindfulness or mindful movement, um, really all of the special people that we brought together as instructors in this program, I think it's going to be a very powerful experience for people, and one that's certainly generating excitement for me about the change that will be possible as a result of the relationships built and the inner traction that's stimulated through this. So
Yeah.
we're all excited about this here at Wheat and ready to get going. So thank you so much, Christina, for being here today, and really excited about your offering and also about your own personal offerings. I know you have a program coming up at St. Norbert Arts and Culture Center. Did you want to mention that offering?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so starting on April 11th, I'll be offering a group therapy series for women who want to explore movement, drawing, dance, and their own personal story. So it's called A Moving Life, Dance Your Story. And we're going to be moving with what matters to you.
Beautiful. It's just amazing that you're bringing this work to Winnipeg, and people will be, inspired and motivated, I think, by your offerings. And yeah, transformation is in the works. So
Yes.
we look forward to seeing you in the Weaving Braids and Rivers of Solidarity programs, and all the best with your upcoming workshop. And I hope that folks will feel inspired and curious and reach out.
Thank you, Darci.
Take care, Christina. Bye for
Thank you.
now.
Bye.